You are very welcome to this webinar about mastering customer understanding in the sales process, together with me, Fredrik Malmsten, and Tomi Räsänen. We're happy to be with you for this webinar. Kind of starting off a little bit, Tomi, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Say a few words.
Sure. Thanks, Fredrik. Yeah, so I'm Tomi Räsänen, like Fredrik said. Greetings from Frankfurt, Germany, where I'm living, being kind of living outside of Finland borders for a good time already. I'm founder and the CEO of Traitspotter. I've been involved in sales and marketing for, I don't know, more than 20 years already. So that's kind of the background I have for this kind of what the kind of practical things I do when doing sales or marketing related actions. Yeah, I think that's in a nutshell. Fredrik, please introduce yourself as well, your background.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tomi. I really appreciate it. And with all the experience that you have with the companies that you've been working for, and as you mentioned, over 20 years of experience, I'm sure there will be a lot of things to learn today together. A little bit about me. I'm sales manager at Seidat, originally from Sweden, living here in Helsinki. I've been also taking a master's degree from Hanken School of Economics. Enjoy sports and then family time. I have two small kids at home and also a wife. So a lot to do, but I'm really happy about that, and really happy that all of you can join. We know that many of you have, well, all of you have important things to do. So we're grateful that you can spare some of your time to meet together with us. And we hope as well during this webinar that we can have some interactions with you. So if you have any questions or anything that comes up during the webinar, just write in the chat and we will make sure to discuss that. Starting off here for you guys, here's the agenda, what we will talk about. We will basically have three different parts. Well, the main theme is to understand customers throughout the sales process. And we will divide it into three different parts. So the first one is before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. So that's kind of how we'll go through today as well. And yeah, starting off a little bit, Tomi, with the first one, before the meeting, how to prepare. Would you like to share some thoughts there from the first one there, where to focus the time?
Yeah, sure. So different kind of customers, they are all available for us or for each of us. But of course, it's a kind of bigger clients, then you have bigger deals, then you can afford yourself to use more time for the preparation. And sometimes smaller cases where you know that okay, it's not going to be that big deal. Then it's just a reality that you need to be faster. You cannot dig that deep in the kind of the backgrounds of the company and the people. So it's always a kind of, you have to be realistic what kind of preparations you can do. So that's focusing, in my opinion, and what I've seen, it's much more important to focus on the people than just the companies. Of course, you need to know the industry, and so otherwise you probably wouldn't be meeting with those people anyway.
Right. And during this session, you will also showcase a little bit your product, and we will get to know a little bit more about how to understand those that you're meeting. But I would like to add also where to focus the time. Working with sales, I assume many people joining us today are working with sales or marketing. Busy people, a lot of things to do. And I had a webinar recently where we discussed a little bit how to plan your day. And I would say that many of those principles apply here today as well. We talked about, the common management principle of good, better, best. What are some things, there's some things that are good to do before a meeting. There's some things that are better, and there's some things that actually are the best things to do before the meeting. So I would say focus your time and put the time on those things that actually matter most. I will go a little bit today into, for instance, Seidat, our presentation tool, and how we have helped hundreds of companies to save plenty of time with material management using our tool, and helping sales teams to, before the meetings, instead of spending hours and hours of making the perfect slide, instead actually trying to understand that customer and trying to understand, okay, what are the pain points, and how can I, as a salesperson, help the customers to understand the solution that we have, and how we can solve the problems that they have. So I would say that is what I would like to add there to that discussion. What about the scaling methods, Tomi? Like, how much time should you spend? Like, would you like to go into a little bit there, that part?
Yeah, sure. It's well, you said it. Time management. It's always an issue. I try to follow this getting things done principle of David Allen. It's a great book. You should everyone read it again if you have read it already. But it's the scaling. It's time management. I have this kind of thumb of rule, like a small future client, 10 minutes preparation must be enough. It's we cannot afford with our pricing model. That's really fair for all companies. Cannot afford much more. And well, for the bigger companies where we see that, okay, we are going to sell, I don't know, 20 or at least 10 sales seats on Traitspotter, then of course we use more time, and then it's kind of different kind of packaging model anyway. But then it's about understanding the customer. What kind of principles do you have on this?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. Yeah, going with the scaling method, I think it's important to think about, okay, what's the value that we put into this specific customer? So if I already before the meeting, if I understand that this is kind of like a smaller customer, it might not be like a huge deal, I won't put as much efforts in preparation as I would do if it would be a larger or an enterprise client. So I think it just, spend the time necessary, but I would say don't spend the same amount of time for each customer, because of course the customers, they're different in size, it's different. The return on investment for your company and for them can be so different depending on. So I would say put the time where you will hopefully get the best results and get the most money out of it. That's what I would add. If we continue here, of course, you can prepare for many things before a meeting. We will go into two principles here. First, the company and also the actual person. Would you like to start us off a little bit with company? And then we will go in a little bit to understand the personality after that.
Yeah, that makes sense, because talk last week and end of last week, I had this really kind of sudden client case. So someone just booked a meeting to my calendar, and I didn't have much time to prepare. So I had it like, I don't know, 1 hour time, maybe being in another meeting, so it was even less. So kind of the tools and things, what I actually did, I wanted to know what the company does. Well, the domain and the website already told something. Then I checked Vainu, kind of what kind of background does the company have? Kind of, are they growing? Are they getting smaller? The industries, and just getting us just really 5-minute grasp of the company. But what you said about the time usage is kind of, I wanted also otherwise, not even just in this case, but to spend just enough time, no more, just enough so that you know the basics, because many things are not the same. Things change, so you need to kind of understand the basics, and then you can ask. And that's kind of course, a really easy way to find out the information. You should know the company name, some basics, but otherwise it's asking. And this other one, this personality, that I think that's more kind of you're building this rapport with your counterpart. It's like that you understand, you are on the same wavelength, like you say. So it's that's even more important than kind of knowing some facts about the company structures or such.
Right. And in a minute, you will actually show your tool, Traitspotter, and we're really excited about that. I would like to add something there. I think it's good for you as a salesperson, as you said, don't spend hours and hours in actually preparing. Of course, if it's a huge client, of course, but I would say, like, use the exact amount of time that you need. and focus on the most important. What I usually look at, I look at also, like Tomi said, the growth of the company. How's the revenue this year compared to previously, and also like how have they downsized the company, or have they actually added more people? So those things you can get quite fast, that information. I also like to look at the decision maker I'm meeting with, like what's their role, or what are their responsibilities, what have they done before. And I always try to find some commonalities as well as an icebreaker in the beginning. So if I see that, okay, this person, he is from this specific city in Sweden, I will maybe start off asking, okay, so you're from this city. Is this the hockey team that you like, or are you a football person? And then we'll maybe start off talking about that as a start. So there are various ways you can do it, but I would say, of course, you need to prepare for the meeting, and you will know what is, the most, I guess, like the specific amount of time that you need to spend on it. But I would say at least 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, but I always at least 15 minutes beforehand. And of course, it can differ. Now we're coming to a very interesting part. Tomi, you will show your tool, and I've seen it before. It's very, very exciting. So would you mind if you share your screen here for a minute, and then talking about a little bit about the personality and the importance of actually knowing the person that you are meeting with?
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. Share this one. So basically, what our tool at Traitspotter does is it gathers publicly available information about decision makers, does all kinds of analysis. So I'm just using myself as an example. Talking about the positions, like Fredrik said, about where someone is from, just talking about the ice hockey teams and such. But the beauty of it lies on the it's really advanced AI algorithm, and it it crushes all that data publicly available, so it's all GDPR cleared, and then it makes this kind of recommendations. Should I actually talk about the ice hockey at all? Because someone is classified as very introverted. It's like you're asking about the favorite ice hockey team. It's like it's none of your business. it's a turn off, because I'm not here to talk about ice hockey. I'm talk about business, and so what the tool says, it's like before the meeting, or it's different kind of stages. So let's say we are meeting with me. Just take screenshot. If you want to sell something to me, this is the right time to make notes. So exactly what kind of things matter to me. So go for it in discussion, be energetic, and there's this kind of graph, but it's much more simple to just follow these tips there is, and then it's much more easier. So this is the minimum I do with many companies. If I don't have even that 10 minutes time, this is where I focus. How is the other one? This is these are the things that matter in an interpersonal communication.
So you would understand the personality if it's an introvert or an extrovert, right?
Yeah, exactly. It would well, it's this. It's called Big Five. It's a psychological framework. It's the only academic framework that is. Myers-Briggs and DISC are great, and they usually work as well. But this is the academic model, and it splits into 5 main categories. But for many salespeople who has the time to understand all the background stuff, for them it's the tips. Well, perhaps when doing a follow-up, there are different tips to consider. Go in social media with me. So it's that. So that's how you reach me if I don't get back to your email. I haven't missed it probably.
Right. So if you're an introvert compared to an extrovert, would you change your approach in the meeting? Would you change the way you're presenting, or would you have more closed questions, or what would you personally do when you analyze the person before the meeting?
The really good point. It's quite different how I act. Of course, I don't try to fake something I'm not, because people will see it through. But this is the detail level. With extrovert, it's more about this is the great chance and kind of lots of movement, big emotions. With the introvert, it's more about exact details and data. And it's for the introverts, you just follow up with a white paper. For the extrovert, don't do it. They will never read it. It's kind of send a video instead, and that will work. And the tempo is different. So with the introvert, it's take a notch down, speak more slowly. That's the most common mistake I do in many meetings. Just kind of keep talking and way too fast.
And Tomi, how do you get this data? Where is it based on? Could you a little bit go into that as well? Like how would you know these kind of things?
Yeah, sure. It's a complicated algorithm, but it basically takes the first name, last name, and company name, and then it starts to gather all the information available. You can find, and it can kind of be confident enough that it's of the same person. So the algorithm gives this kind of confidence score about their own results. So how does the algorithm or the AI believe that these are right? So basically, you can just go in a way. We have this kind of HubSpot app and this panel. So you can start with the company. So basically, you can jump here and give the company name, and you see what kind of people are working here, and just go for the analysis after that. But this is basically with the bigger companies, that do check that company data as well. But this is the way how I see who are the other decision makers. So if I'm trying to sell, or if one of you guys in the audience want to sell something to Traitspotter, it definitely makes sense to see it. Okay, Jani is the CEO. He probably needs to say something about if you buy something big, or if there's something technical, it's Jussi. What kind of people, and then if there's a really big client, then I check the personalities of those people as well, so that I know if they are joining the meeting. If there's someone very extroverted and one very introverted person, it's a tough split, but yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, lovely. Would you like to add anything before we continue to the next up? I see you have my name up there.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Sorry for this, but I sold my personally so that people know how to sell to me. So let's kind of see Fredrik as well. This is basically the HubSpot interface as well. Some people will probably recognize the HubSpot background there. So it's a kind of screen in HubSpot, and it shows the similar information here about where you have been working. If you are sending an offer, then it's kind of include social proof and testimonials. So kind of short quotes should be there as well, and call after sending an offer. So I estimate it's gonna say very extroverted here. Yeah, it's saying very extroverted here. Very easygoing. This is basically the meetings we've had. So they've been easygoing.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's simple. So everyone can just kind of sign up. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's just kind of you get 50 analysis for free, and even after that is kind of just this talk. It makes sense to try it and see what it says about yourself first and about the close colleagues, and that's it's basically panel.traitspotter.com, and then there you have it. But this is not supposed to be a Traitspotter presentation, but those are the tools I use myself. So basically, I just know that they are working. Get a better connection with the client.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And as I mentioned, I've already seen it a bit, and I'm really, really impressed by it, because it's so easy for a salesperson to look at, what's the company? Where has this decision maker worked before? Okay, they have done this and this and this. But actually to understand their personality, I think that is a very interesting thing. And I think it would probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be a new trend for 2024 to actually understand that more. How that affects the decision making process.
Yeah, it's about it's always about getting your message across. So people always interpret what you are saying. So if you can communicate in a way that is natural to the recipient, then it's the chances of getting your message through is much better. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but the chances are better, and then increase the probability of getting a deal as well.
Right. Thank you so much. And of course, if you have anything you would like to add in the chat, how you prepare for a meeting, then we're really happy to hear that as well. You can just write and we will take it step by step. Continuing, because now we have been talking about before the meeting, right? This one we will talk about during the meeting. And then our last little small topic is after the meeting. Starting with this one, maximizing engagement and productivity. Tomi, he talked about that. If somebody wants to sell to him, if they will have a meeting, they need to be energized. They need to say, wow, this is amazing. This is how we will solve your problems. While as if we'll be an introvert, maybe you don't need to be as excited. I think it's quite interesting. Starting off with this one, because the core of this webinar is talking about the customer and customer understanding. That's what we have been discussing that so far. And continue with that, because in many cases, what I have seen is that salespeople, they usually spend a lot of time to prepare before the meeting. They might create a presentation before the meeting that they're planning to, okay, this is exactly what I will show in the meeting. And they kind of beforehand plan, okay, this is exactly what we'll discuss for this 1 hour. But the problem is that how would you actually know that? How would you beforehand know what questions will come? How would you know all the needs that they have? Of course, you need to ask that in the meeting. So now we will quickly just talking about how can you customize during the meeting and not only beforehand. And I would like to start off a little bit with how I'm using our tool, Seidat. I will discuss more about that later on, but when I have a meeting with a customer, of course, I have a general presentation slide deck, and then I'm starting to talk with the customer, understanding their needs, what are important for them, and then depending on where they come, what's important for that specific customer, what problems they have, and things like that, then I will just show those slides that are relevant for that specific customer. So I might have had, I think I have maybe 80 slides in my presentation, and I will never use those 80 slides. So all the meetings I have basically are different because I don't always use the same slides. I use different kind of slides. And the reason being is that I want to make it more engaging for the customer, making them to feel that, wow, this meeting is actually about me, not about the salesperson having his own agenda. Would you like to add something, Tomi, in regards to this?
Well, no, you basically said it. It's like it's always depending on the discussion how deep in the details you go. It's like with the introverts, you probably dive into kind of small details as well. You might, not necessary, but it's kind of you have to have some information available. I really like the kind of the navigation in Seidat, so you can kind of go further down the details before moving to kind of the next step. That's how I kind of imagine myself using it. But yeah, I think so. You're correct.
And then we have now talked a little bit about making it exciting because salespeople sometimes I noticed that they might have the same presentation for several years, but they don't even change a slide, and then they go with that presentation every single meeting. Think about how draining that is. Not only for the salesperson. Okay, now we'll have a meeting. I will show the exact same presentation that I've shown for the last 3 or 5 years. I will ask the same kind of questions that I've asked, and most likely I will get the same kind of answers that I've gotten before. That is not exciting for either the salesperson or the recipient, the potential customer, and they will actually feel that if you're not excited about your product, if you're not energized in your role, they will definitely feel that. That is something that is very difficult to fake.
Yeah. So if you always aim for the average solution, if you kind of have this kind of, I like the idea of ideal customer profiles and so, but if they are kind of just one strict model, it's not going to be any single of your customer. There might be one. So kind of knowing what kind of personality there is, kind of, and then kind of what level of kind of things you need to explain. You'll kind of, it's automatic so that you'll get better results. So we are all kind of age and size and everything is kind of different. So the presentation needs to be that as well.
Right. No, 100%. And then also, I think what is important nowadays, I think more than ever, focus on return on investment. We're living in difficult economic time. I'm sure you've all noticed that. And companies, they are looking for must-have tools and not nice-to-have tools. That has already been the trend for a while, and it will continue. That companies, they will look through all the systems that they have, and then they will continue with those that actually bring the most value. So when being in a meeting, even if your product costs €1, if it's a nice to have, they might not even consider it. Of course, now I'm a little bit exaggerating if it's €1, but I mean, like, it's so essential working in sales to focus on the pain points, focus on, okay, what can I bring to this customer that can help them to grow their business? So I think that is such a key. Do you agree with that, Tomi?
Totally agree. And I remember like we started company a couple of years ago, and at the beginning we failed to communicate our message clearly enough. Well, we didn't have the many customer reference cases back then. So it was people could have put us in the kind of nice to have section. And it was really, really hard to get those deals, even if we kind of understood the people and their needs. But if they felt, okay, it's a nice to have. But now, as we have data kind of showing that you get better results in prospecting using the personalized, you get better results in a meeting, doing the offer and the follow-ups and everything, and that accumulates, then it's having a huge impact. And that has transformed us from this being this nice to have to be kind of being the no-brainer.
Right. And I think all the companies, they want to be the must-have, right? I think
of course.
Even if it's kind of on the paper a nice to have tool, of course, you as a salesperson, that's your job. You need to make it a nice to have tool as well. So it's not always easy. I can testify about it.
I think we all been there. It's like trying it when it's not crystal clear what you are selling, or what if you don't know the value you're bringing, or you cannot fit the value to the client case, or it's you probably wouldn't get a deal. But that's life. That's sales.
Exactly. And actually now talking about it, I have quite a funny experience when I was in the US a few years ago. I was in a shoe shop, and I was just looking at shoes, and of course the salesperson was very eager to sell me a pair of shoes. But I said, well, I'm just looking. I'm not really interested right now. And it was quite funny how what about shoelaces? Do you need that? So, of course, you should always try to maximize the meetings and try to sell, but also kind of like use your brain as well. Don't be like a headless chicken, just because then you might not. They won't think maybe you as a professional in that sense.
The selling never works. It's I just remember this Kummeli case where at the end I think the salesperson throws a vacuum cleaner that you're not gonna leave empty-handed or something. Like, don't be that.
Exactly. That's funny. If anybody here joining has a funny experience, we're really happy to hear that as well. You can write it in the chat, or you can just open up your microphone. Something as well. When we're talking about presentation, I will, as I mentioned, I will later on go into a little bit our tool. But what I think overall is so important when you are in a sales meeting and when you have a sales presentation overall, is that you have three basic elements, right? You have the structure, you have the content, and you have the visuality. Those three are so essential for you to first of all have a great meeting, but also to be able to find the pain points and have a clear structure. I think that is such a key, and that's a place as well where I see a lot of salespeople struggle, because they might have the nicest presentation, they might have super nice pictures, visuality, but the content, they might have too much text, so you don't really understand, and it doesn't, you kind of get bored, or you don't really have a structure. You might start with something, then you go back, and then you go there, and then you go there, and then in the end, you don't even know yourself what you have been talking about. So that is something I will go more into as well. Would you like to add anything here? Do you agree on this? Would you like to add any other element for a
No,
presentation?
it's a always combination of those. It's then, and you need to be able to adapt the situation, but you need to have this kind of base structure, but that you know by heart already. So it's kind of, if things go without any surprises, then you are self-confident, and then people will understand you much better.
Right, and it should be easy to use also your presentation. I went to a sales conference in Stockholm. Was it a month? Yeah, about a month ago, and there was one sales guy. They had bought this booth for, I don't know, a few €1,000, and then they had a sales presentation on the TV. They had paid maybe €1,000 just for the TV as well. They had a sales presentation that didn't work. And he was standing there for like, I don't know how long time, just trying to get the animations work. Yeah, you shouldn't laugh, but like I didn't laugh, but I was just, okay, well, maybe you should. It's better to do it simple and it works than make it like super fancy and then it doesn't work. So I would say that's also important when it comes to presentations. Yes, also what we cannot forget the next steps, that after you've had a meeting, always make sure that you have something planned. Either it's a meeting or a follow-up. If they say, okay, now I don't have the calendar of my colleagues, let's say, let's say that they say, well, we cannot book a meeting right away. Then make sure to book at least a short phone call. You can say, okay, I will call you on Wednesday or Thursday at this time. Just a quick 10-minute follow-up, and then from that discussion we can book the new meeting when you know the calendar of your colleagues. So that was something I would like to add there in the end. Continuing now, this is our last topic for today. Yes, the time is really flying. I think that's always a good sign, and most of the people are still here in the meeting, so we're really happy about that as well. What would you start with here when it comes to follow-ups and proposals that work? Would you like to share something for the first bullet point there, Tomi?
Well, yeah, you basically said it. The most important step in the follow-up that you have agreed about one. So I was kind of trying to leave this from meeting to meeting principle. So always agree the next meeting, and just in case. But yeah, at least you have agreed when you are going to call. Then basically you as a salesperson, you are the one who's gonna follow up. It's your job. It kind of well, just wait until they reply. In best case they do reply, and also with a positive note, and order is confirmed. But just kind of be prepared, and it's your thing. Just go for. I of course check the follow-up tips from Traitspotter, but it's just being active in a suitable channels as well. So it's like, for some people, for the extroverts, if you give a call, if you call 3 times, the extroverts, they're going to call you back because they say, okay, now you really have something important. But you need to understand the client. So if it's an introvert and you call them 3 times, that's bad. Well, they might call the police instead of you. So it's kind of, it might backfire. So it's right there as well. You need to understand. But then it's then it's about being active, giving the introverts a bit more time, asking them what kind of additional materials you could set that supports, and then for the extroverts, push for the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you? Your best tips?
I would say no. I 100% agree with you, because at least for me, there are no deals that just come from heaven. Okay, here you have one meeting, and then you don't do any follow-up, and okay, I want to buy this solution. Yeah. It has never happened. I don't know if it has happened for anybody else. Maybe, okay, if you sell socks or if you sell ice cream, maybe that might be the case. But if you sell SaaS solutions, you need to be active. You need to work. And I would say that it's, of course, you always need to send something after the meeting. That is a key, I would say. And then, of course, if you have a follow-up, let's say you have a meeting, at least the day before, you should send some kind of follow-up that, okay, this is the agenda we have for tomorrow. Would you like to add something to the agenda, or would you like to discuss something different, or something like that? I think it's always important to do that. A day before, send an email. Okay, I'm preparing for the meeting. Would you like to add something? Then it shows also some urgency that, okay, this is important. I'm actually putting my time into this. And then the person receiving that email, then they feel, okay, well, actually, this person is serious, or he or she is serious about this. They don't just show up, 2 minutes past the starting time of the meeting, but they're actually preparing. And then they might feel, okay.
You are going to reduce the no-show rate as well, because especially if there's been a long time, well, it shouldn't be always, the follow-up should be quite soon. But if you show that activity, what you said, it's going to reduce the no-show rate there, because they see that, okay, you are putting effort to it, and then it would be too awkward for them not to show up.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And also going to the next topic, using different channels, I think that is also very important. Some loves the calling. If you're introvert, if you're extrovert, you love the calling, maybe, unless you get 100 people calling you a day if you're a sales director.
Yeah.
If you're introvert, maybe you like the text message or email, LinkedIn. I would say use different things. Don't put all the eggs in the same bucket, or just like use different ways. I would say that's the key. Also, don't be afraid of being informal as well. For instance, I have some potential customers in my sales pipeline that like hockey. So when their hockey team play, then I like to write a comment after the game, like, okay, I noticed that your team won today. Well, it was a good game, wasn't it? And then we will get some small talk going as well. So I think that is also can be a positive thing. I don't know, what do you think about that, Tomi? Also having some kind of warm talk in between.
Yeah, exactly. It's about connecting, and it's connecting, of course, in a level that suits you. You don't kind of, even if you know that I don't know, you saw in a public Facebook that someone's dog was sick, that it might be too personal. So you can also know how deep to go, but just kind of giving. It's another Traitspotter ad, knowing kind of how deep, what kind of other personality is, and then you kind of know. You should perhaps take it back, or you just go for the all informal, just kind of reveal things about yourself. But if you do it to the wrong personality type, then it's like, why are you telling me this?
Right. And is there anybody joining here in this meeting that would like to add something about this? What channels do you use? Do you have any tips? Cold call, text message, email, video message. There are, of course, many different ways. So if you have anything, if you have anything to add, you can just write it in the chat, and we will definitely bring it up.
I've been using this video kind of messages now more and more. So it's like, instead of sending the PDF offer as well, or kind of online offer, but sending this kind of video greeting to it. Adapted to match the personality, of course, but it gives it, what you said is like that you are putting effort to it, that you really care about the customer. If it's there kind of just random cases, well, yeah, I don't know, the customers won't like it and you won't like your job, but if you really care and put this extra effort, and it will definitely pay out. I definitely agree. And also the last point here, I think also it's so important to be customized in the follow-up, and also having automation processes. So for instance, if you have a meeting, you show some specific slides and you talk about specific things. When you send out the presentations after the meeting, then don't just send a general one with all kinds of different stuff, but like, be concise. Choose the slides that you actually discussed during the meeting, and slides that will help them to understand the value and how you can solve their pain points. Because then it doesn't make sense. Then you can just then, like, if you're not personalized there, then I mean, like, you can lose a lot of cases with that. They might feel like, why do they send these things? It's not relevant for me. They might say, okay, well, I guess this salesperson doesn't really care, or he doesn't really understand my business. Why should I continue in this process if he clearly doesn't understand? Would you like to share something or add to that, Tomi? Well, that's basically it. You need to understand how the decision-making process goes. Of course, if someone tells us that, okay, there's a other people involved, or try to get them to the follow-up meeting always. But then if you know what kind of people are joining the actual decision-making process, and then and kind of what kind of roles they have, then you know, okay, let's attach these 2 additional slides because they talk about your solution from a technical perspective or from the financials perspective. That's perhaps a kind of the only thing I would add to that combination.
Yeah, lovely. No, we will talk a little bit, kind of continue in this discussion about, before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. I will discuss a little bit with you or show you the tool where I'm working. I'm working at Seidat. For you who don't know our company, we're a Finnish company. Actually, we're half Swedish, half Finnish. Our investors are Swedish, so we're a mix between Swedish and Finnish. And our goal is to help sales teams to be more efficient. Help sales teams before meetings to save time. Help them during the meetings to have better meetings, but also help them after the meetings to close more deals. And I will shortly discuss that, how we have helped sales teams in Finland, but also internationally, to save time in their sales process, but also to close more deals. And just like giving you an overall view what Seidat can do, we can do many different things, and I won't go into every single step of this, but basically you can do everything you need in the sales process. You can create the slides directly in our platform, or you can import the presentation you already have from PowerPoint, for instance. You can use it for presenting, like we have been doing today. We have been using our platform presenting this webinar. You can also share the presentation directly through our by creating a link in our platform. So when you send that link to the customer, then you, as a salesperson, will get a notification when the customer opened. And you will also get the data analytics about, well, as you connect it to your CRM, you will get the data analytics, what the people actually have been looking at in your presentation. And in that way, you can better understand the customer and better be able to know their pain points, and also in the end, hopefully sell as well. When talking about saving time, we have solved this issue for a lot of companies in the Nordics, but also outside the Nordics, because in our tool, you don't need to have like 20 SharePoints with maps all around scattered with all kinds of different presentations, but you have actually one place where you have all your different presentations. If it's a sales deck, if it's a company deck, if you have proposals, marketing materials, whatever. And the beauty of this is that it will make it so easy for your salespeople to find the latest and greatest slides. They don't need to send a message to the marketing person 2 minutes before the meeting asking for a specific slide, but they will find it directly there. And also for the marketing people, in Seidat, they can centrally manage presentations. So in the platform, you can directly put in the settings that, okay, when you create a presentation, you will use these fonts, these colors, etc. Which means that you will save so much time, because when the salespeople, they actually create new slides, it will be automatically following the branding guidelines. And I know that's an issue many marketing people have, that salespeople are creating all kinds of different slides that are not in harmony with the company brand line guidelines, and also using slides that are very old. And I also mentioned about how you can sell more with Seidat, and one way is through data analytics. So after you've had a meeting in Seidat, you will share a link with the customer, and so instead of attaching a PowerPoint or a PDF file, you will just send a link directly. And the good thing with that is that if you want to have engaging presentation, it's usually more than 25 megabytes, because you would like to, as Tomi talked about, you want to make it exciting. Maybe you want to add your video, maybe you want to add your website, maybe you want to add some specific images. You can do all of that directly in Seidat. So it doesn't matter how big your presentation is, because you will always be able to send it through a link. And then as the customer opens that link, you as a salesperson will get a notification. And that is such a key, because then you understand, okay, how is the customer actually progressing in this sales cycle? Are they interested? Well, if they don't open the presentation, if they don't look at all, most likely not. Then you need to be more active. Maybe use the different channels to reach out to them. But if you see that they're actually opening the presentation, you can see what they're looking at, then it helps you to better understand as well, okay, what's important for them and what can I focus more on during the sales process. This is kind of in a nutshell what Seidat can do. Material management, save time, have one platform where you have all the presentations. You use it in the meetings to make it more exciting. Tomi discussed that a little bit with you earlier, that in Seidat you can actually customize the meetings directly in the platform. So you have the slide deck in front of you, and then depending on where the conversation goes, you can just directly go to that slide, which is relevant from the customer and from the needs of the customer. So overall, I would say save time using Seidat and also sell more. And we would, of course, love to continue the discussion. Both Tomi and I, both our tools work perfectly together. I've seen their tool, and I know that it's a very, very good tool. And as well, we've had so many happy customers using Seidat as well. So please make sure to book a meeting with us. You have the QR codes here, mine, and then Tomi. Is it still the same person? You don't have as much here today.
Yeah. It looks like I was in Rotterdam on the weekend. It was really windy, so I don't know if that kind of did it. It's a summer here.
Yeah.
No.
Would you like to summarize something in the end, Tomi, for the people joining here today?
Look, basically, it's exciting themes. Selling is so undervalued always, and it's mathematics at the end as well. So it's an interpersonal mathematics game. So it's kind of understanding and having enough volume. It's also usually it's a volume game as well. So even if you understand perfectly the customer and connect perfectly with that single customer, then the maximum you can have is still one customer. So it's you need to have lead generations and everything in place, but then it's understanding, being on the same level, on the same page with the customer, then magical things will happen. And perhaps that's kind of the one more add is the sign up doesn't cost you anything, 50 credits for free. So go ahead and can book a meeting with me. I'll just kind of show you, tell you the best practices, and kind of see it yourself. I think for me, it's always being seeing is believing. So it's kind of like when I see it. Oh, I've seen some magicians and I still didn't believe, but that's a different story. There's no that kind of magic involved.
Right, and then you can
everyone.
Then they can test you and say, okay, how good is he actually at meetings? Now you have been teaching us, or we have discussing this. And if they book a meeting with you or me, then you can actually see how actually if we're telling the truth today or if we're just making it up. So true. That can also be one challenge if you book a meeting with us. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much, all of you who joined today. We're very grateful that you took up your valuable time with us. And of course, would say that we have a few coming webinars in the future as well that we would love to have you join as well. So please be updated there. You can go to Seidat's website and also follow Traitspotter on LinkedIn. And also you can connect directly with Tomi as well regarding coming events. And with that, we thank you all and wish you a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much.